Hello, this is Mr. Molo for lesson 1-5, rewriting equations and formulas. Today we're going to be rewriting equations and formulas. So a reason why we would do this are problems like here, like we're trying to find the area of the trapezoid. Actually, we know the area of the trapezoid. We're trying to find the height. So there's a different formula for finding the height of a trapezoid as opposed to the areas. We rearrange the letters. Same thing here. Trying to find the circumference of a circle. It tells us the circumference, but we need to find the radius. So we're just going to rewrite some equations solving for other variables. So here it wants us to solve the equation for y. So that means we need to make this equation say y equals. So right now it says y minus 2x equals 15. Okay, so we're just going to try and get it to say y equals. So kind of weird and different. We're not going to get an actual answer like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Our answer is just going to be once the equation says y equals. So same thing as before. I have a minus 2x on this side. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. That's going to cancel. So I'm left with y equals on the left side. And then on the right side, I have 2x plus 15. And that's all I'm going to do. That's going to be my answer. Y is by itself. It says y equals. So then I know I'm done. Okay. Same thing on number 2. I'm going to solve for y. I need to get the y by itself. So I need to get rid of that plus 4x over there. The way I get rid of a plus 4x is by minusing 4x. 4x minus 4x cancels. Y is by itself. So now it says y equals. And now I have a negative 4x plus 2. So y equals negative 4x plus 2. Okay. Here, this one's going to be a couple steps now. Let me erase this last one so we have some room. So here I have 5x minus 2y equals, or 5x minus 2 equals 8 plus 5y. So now we got a couple things to get rid of. There's an 8 on this side, and there's a 5 in front of that y. So let me get rid of this 8 first. So I'm going to subtract 8 from each side. So I have 5x negative 2 minus 8 is negative 10 equals 5y. Just like before, that's 5 times y. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And both of these end up getting divided by 5. So 5x divided by 5 is just x. Negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2 equals the y is by itself. So we're good. All right, here we got y plus x equals 11. So it's a plus x, so I'm going to minus x. Y is by itself now, so it equals 11 minus x. Okay, you can see here I kind of wrote these a little differently. So if you have 15 plus 2x, that's fine. Here if you had 2 minus 4x, that's fine. Here if you did like negative x plus 11, that's fine. Doesn't matter which one really comes first. As you can see, I mix it up and they're both right. All right, here I got 3x minus y equals negative 4. So I'm going to minus 3x because it's a positive 3x. So I have negative y equals negative 4 minus 3x. And again, we're stuck with a negative y. We don't want a negative y. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1 to get rid of that negative y. So now it's just a positive y. Negative 4 divided by negative 1 is a positive 4. Negative 3x divided by negative 1 is a positive 3x. Okay. Let's look at some of these here. Almost the same thing, except it's solve for x instead of solve for y. So if I look at some of these here, y equals 10x minus 4x. So here I can simplify. 10x minus 4x is 6x. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 6. Divide both sides by 6. So y divided by 6 equals x. All right, once we get to number 8, they get kind of tricky here. I have q equals 3x plus 9xz. So now we're going to do something kind of like undistributing. Okay, so I'm going to undistribute an x from each side here. So I'm going to pull out an x here. So and I'm going to pull out the x from there. So if I pull out an x from 3x, the only thing that's left is 3. I'm going to pull out an x from 9xz. The only thing that's left is a 9 and a z. Okay, so I just pulled out the x from both of those. Since they both have an x, I can do that. Okay, and now I'm going to look. X is being multiplied to these. So I'm going to divide by 3 plus 9z. 9z and 9z cancel. 3 and 3 cancel. And what I do to the left side, as always, I have to do to the right side. So I'm going to divide by 3 plus 9z there. X is by itself, so that's my answer then. So kind of a little trickier when you get two x's mixed in over there. You got to kind of distribute, and that makes it a little tougher. Okay, same thing's going to happen here. I got r equals 4 plus 7x minus sx. So I'm going to subtract 4 first. So I end up with r minus 4 equals 7x minus sx. Same thing, the right side now has an x in common. So I'm going to undistribute that x. So I pull out an x from there. If I pull out an x from 7x, I'm just left with 7. I pull out an x from s and x, I'm just left with s. And now this says x times 7 minus s. So I'm going to divide by 7 minus s. And so that's going to be my answer. R minus 4 divided by 7 minus s. So it gets a little trickier there once you're undistributing. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing, just that undistributing step you got to worry about. All right, now let's get into some more familiar formulas here. So we have the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height, except it doesn't want us to solve for the area. It wants us to solve for the base. Okay, so first I'm going to get rid of this 1/2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1/2. Okay, divide by 1/2. So if I have a divided by 1/2, that means really when you divide by something, you multiply by the reciprocal. So dividing by 1/2 is the same as multiplying by 2. So I'm going to end up with 2a equals b times h. Okay, so I'll kind of explain that with numbers. If I have 5 times 2, that's 10. If I have 5 divided by 1/2, that's also 10. So dividing by 1/2 and multiplying by 2 are really the same thing, right? If we think about this, back in 3rd grade when we learned division, 5 times 2, that means 5 groups of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Division is how many times does this half go into 5? So if I had like 50 cents, how many 50 cents would I need to eventually make $5? Well, I would have 50 cents and then $1, then $1.50 and then $2, and then $2.50 and then $3, and then $3.50 and then $4, and then $4.50 and then $5. It took 10 50 cents to end up getting a half into 5. So it's the same thing here. So instead of really dividing by 1/2, we can just think of it as we multiplied by 2. Half of 2 turns into 1, so it's a 1bh. And I multiply this side by 2, there's my 2a. So now I have b times h. I'm going to get rid of h by dividing by h. So b equals 2a divided by h. Same thing on number 14. Dividing by 1/3. The same thing as dividing by 1/3 is multiplying by 3. So 1/3 times 3 is 1. So that's going to cancel. So multiply by 3 on that side. So now I'm left with 3v equals pi times r squared times h. They're all being multiplied. Pi times r squared times h. So they're all being multiplied. So I'm going to do the opposite of multiply. And I'm going to divide both sides by pi and r squared. So divide those cancel. I'm just left with my h. So 3v divided by pi r squared. So get some more examples on the back page here. Now you realize we're on the back page of our note packet. That's why we have a test coming up here. Kind of the same thing. We're solving for r. So we have I equals v times r. Okay, so I'm going to multiply both sides by r to get rid of the dividing by. So now I have r times I equals v. And I want to get that r by itself now. So I'm going to multiply or divide by the I. So r is by itself now. So r equals v divided by I. Here we got another one. P times v equals n times r times t. Okay, we're solving for r. That says n times r. That says r times t. The opposite of times is to divide. So divide both sides by n and t. N divided by n cancel out. T divided by t cancel out. Do it to the other side. So p times v divided by n over t. And then let's look at some of these ones down here. So we have that formula up on top. So it was A equals P plus P R T. Okay, so same thing, I have a P and a P here. So I'm going to undistribute a P. Kind of tricky here. If I undistribute a P, what's left there? Remember, there's always that 1 in front of that P. So I undistribute a P from one P. I'm just left with a P. I take out a P from PRT, and I'm just left with R and T. So now this says P times 1 plus RT. So they're all being multiplied by P. So I'm going to divide. 1 divided by 1 cancels out, it's 1. R divided by R cancel out, it's 1. T divided by T cancel out, it's 1. So everything cancels out on the right side. So I'm just left with P, how I want it to be. And I divide by the 1 RT over here. And that's my answer. So P equals A divided by 1 plus RT.